always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it, my friends, as we launch another big day here on the program. Glad to have you on board. It's exciting out there. It's busy out there. Never a dull moment. Who do you want in your foxhole for all of this? That's my question to you. We're burning daylight, so let's get to it. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, another day, another dramatic drug bust. This time, the feds jammed up 1,300 barrels of a key ingredient for methamphetamines. It would have created 420,000 pounds of the street drug. 420,000 pounds. Good Lord. Number two, could the National Guard be on its way to New Orleans before it hits the streets of Chicago to clean up the scourge of violent crime? Well, it looks that way, so red states will ask for help, it seems. And number three, today it's time to expose those who have turned public service into a personal piggy bank. You know who I'm talking about. Those Democrats who waltz into Congress claiming to fight for you, the little guy, yet somehow walk out as bazillionaires. I'm here to shine a spotlight on the hypocrisy with cold, hard numbers to back it up. The latest to make the headlines, of course, is Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, a member of the radical squad, you know, the socialists, who reported a negative net worth when she entered Congress 2019, but now apparently worth $30 million thanks to the rapid growth, the unprecedented growth, the unbelievable growth of her husband's venture capital company. That's more than a 66,000% increase. 66,000% increase over 6 years. It's so radical it makes Bitcoin blush. And granted, it's thanks to her husband's firm, but it's a firm that was only valued at about 50 grand 2 years ago. Now it's worth more than $30 million. In 2020, FEC complaints surfaced about $2.8 million in payments to E Street Group, owned by her husband, Tim Minette. No charges, but the optics? Rotten. Omar's loud anti-capitalist rhetoric doesn't square with her growing wealth and her husband's capitalist company. While serving the American people, she's one of the loudest critics of America and everything we stand for. In fact, most recently, she says the U.S. has turned into one of the worst countries, worse than her dilapidated homeland of Somalia. Listen to this garbage.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with the military.
Now, if Trump were a dictator, he'd have tossed her out of Congress already. How can you call the U.S. one of the worst countries in the world when you went from 45 grand in debt to $30 million in assets basically overnight? And those assets, they'd be taxed out the wazoo if she had her way with a wealth tax, to the point where her husband would probably just have to sell. Listen to this investor explain.
In order for him to have a valuation of $30 million on just the venture capital piece, he probably only has to do about $5 million in annual revenues to actually realize that kind of a valuation. So I think it's very highly likely. But what this really does is this shines a spotlight on all of the conversations the Democrats have had over the last several years about a wealth tax.
Yep.
Well, what if you own a business worth $30 million and all of a sudden you have to pay a wealth tax on that? That's not liquid money. It's completely illiquid. What do you have to do? So maybe it's their turn to actually to realize what the implications of a wealth tax would be.
Yeah, her communist dreams would turn it into a nightmare. These people are more than happy to sell out Americans and the American dream, as long as they get to become elites, which is what we're seeing time and time again. How about Nancy Pelosi, the queen of Capitol Hill wealth? This woman's been in Congress since 1987. Her net worth, a jaw-dropping $413 million most recently. Well, that was 2012. Her official salary is $174 as a rank-and-file member of Congress, bumped to $233 as Speaker of the House. So how does a career politician on a government paycheck amass $250 million and then $413 million? Her husband, Paul Pelosi, a savvy investor, sure seems to have a knack for perfectly timed stock trades, especially in companies like Visa, Apple, and others, which coincidentally often align with legislative agendas. For example, in 2011, her financial disclosures showed investments in tech firms that magically skyrocketed. It's like an Elon Musk rocket. So much for her champion of the people rhetoric while living like royalty in a San Francisco mansion. Hypocrisy much? Senator Josh Hawley has introduced the Pelosi Act in the Senate, a bill still making its way in various forms through the House and the Senate that would prevent members of Congress from buying and selling individual stocks. Listen to this.
Say that we have an opportunity here today to do something that the public has wanted us to do for decades, and that is to ban members of Congress from profiting on information that, frankly, only members of Congress have in the buying and selling of stock. 86% of Americans say that members of Congress should not be able to buy and sell shares of stock, individual stock, while they are members of this body, and they are absolutely correct. And the reason is, you can see it, there was just another ethics referral in the House last week. We've seen the former Speaker of the House make millions of dollars in profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all of this is that, quite frankly, members of this body are privy to information that the normal person just is not.
Well, you'd think that's already illegal, wouldn't you? You'd think that that would be illegal already. It should be. It's not. Here's more from Hawley on why. Listen.
Now, is that insider trading? It is not under the laws. Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engage in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not.
Yeah, no, they were not. We have control of both chambers of Congress, do the Republicans. This is legislation that actually has bipartisan support. So why isn't it getting done? Mike Johnson and John Thune need to call this bill up for a vote ASAP. Elizabeth Warren's another one preaching fairness while sitting on a fortune. Her Senate salary, $174,000, but based on the latest Forbes estimate from 2019, her net worth then was $12 million. Do you think she went broke in the interim? Pretty sure she didn't. A woman who rails against Wall Street while her portfolio balloons. Her 2020 student debt cancellation plan with Schumer, $50,000 per borrower. Sounds noble, but it's a vote-buying scheme that funnels taxpayer money to her academic elite base. Ha! I'll share a story from Pocahontas when we come back here. Nice to see you this morning. Look, they're getting rich while selling out America. It's been going on for years. We're talking about it today on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back at it now as we decide how we're going to deal with these politicians who go to Washington to cash in for themselves and forget about you. That's the sad part. They forget about you. Who's looking out for the folks if they're looking out for their portfolio, right? That's the question. All right, from Elizabeth Warren, listen to this ridiculous story she told from one of her events recently. Here it is.
You know me, did the speech, and then afterwards did a selfie line, and we were there for over an hour. And people are coming through, and they're saying thank you, and they're giving hugs and talking about what's important to them. Young woman came up by herself, and she said, I'm a broke college student with a lot of student loan debt. And she said, I checked, and I have $6 in the bank. So I just gave $3 to keep you in this fight. That's what we got to do. We got to stay in this fight with people who are counting on us.
You know, nothing better than the very rich telling the very poor that democracy hinges on them giving up $3 so they can go without food for the day. Why can't you just use your own millions, Pocahontas? Tens of millions. Why don't you just do your own campaign without these people scratching together a few dollars of all they have? Most of these people will never answer for their crimes, but on a rare occasion when the curtain is actually pulled back, it's shocking. Take Bob Menendez, Gold Bar Bob, the poster child for Democrat corruption. This guy's net worth was reported at $1 or $2 million in 2018 per Wikipedia, but the real scandal exposed in 2023. You see, in 2023, Menendez was indicted for taking bribes, gold bars, cash, a Mercedes worth over $480,000 to peddle influence for Egypt and Qatar. He resigned in 2024, convicted as the first sitting congressman for conspiracy to act as a foreign agent. This man was chair of the Foreign Relations Committee. Ha! Shaking down foreign governments, folks, while serving New Jersey. His net worth may not rival Pelosi's, but his betrayal of public trust is priceless. When indicted, he refused to acknowledge guilt, but he did say the quiet part out loud. Here he is.
I have every faith that the law and the facts do not sustain that decision, and that we will be successful upon appeal. I have never violated my public oath. I have never been anything but a patriot of my country and for my country. I have never, ever been a foreign agent. The decision rendered by the jury today would put at risk every member of the United States Senate in terms of what they think a foreign agent would be. I have.
Little hard to hear there, but did you catch that? He said the jury's decision could affect every member of Congress, insinuating that more of our elected leaders are cashing in on selling us out. It's something that should absolutely be looked into. At the beginning of the year, Elon Musk proposed that Doge do exactly that. Remember this? Listen.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense.
Absolutely true. They're getting wealthy at our expense. Even with Elon gone, I still think Doge should make this one of their priorities. Talk about cutting government waste. What's the common thread here? These Democrats campaign as champions of the working class while their wealth explodes. The average American's net worth, $121,000 per 2023 Federal Reserve data. I think that's probably high. Compare that to Pelosi's $413 million, or Warren's $25 million, or $30 million, or whatever she's worth, and Ilhan Omar. Congress demands financial disclosures, but they're vague, using ranges, not exact figures, and spousal assets muddy the waters. Still, the pattern is clear. Public service is their golden ticket. Meanwhile, MAGA Republicans like Donald Trump, who built his fortune before politics, are called greedy. The hypocrisy is staggering. The system's rigged, folks. These Democrats push big government policies that grow their power and bank accounts while the rest of us foot the bill. They cry about income equality, yet their wealth surges. It's not just fishy, it's swampy. It's corruption. And it's time to drain that damn swamp, isn't it? Yeah. Now, while we're on the subject of parasites like those members of Congress, could your health issues be caused by an invisible enemy? Fatigue, bloating, brain fog? What if parasites are the real culprit? I was digging into parasite cleanses when I came across a video from a trusted doctor who mentioned that. Ivermectin and mebendazole, he said, are two powerful anti-pathogens, but what's even more fascinating, these medications are frequently used in oncology to treat cancer patients. That's right. They have anti-pathogenic properties that stunt the growth of harmful invaders and even have the potential to slow down abnormal cell growth. Did you know 60 million Americans have parasites? And that is frightening. They invade your body, wreak havoc on your gut, energy levels, even your brain, give you brain fog. And the mainstream medical system, they don't want you thinking about this because one great cleanse can change your life, and boom, you're in great shape. Ivermectin and mebendazole, that's right. It can get you healthy again. And where do you get it? The Wellness Company. The gold standard for such a cleanse comes from the Wellness Company. Right now, you can get $60 off and free shipping for the gold standard of a cleanse. twc.health/Gruber. So the promo code Gruber will save you $60 right now and free shipping. Don't wait. Plus all the other great items that can be found at the Wellness Company. Remember, Make America Healthy Again starts with you today at home. Did I mention getting wealthy? $1.7 billion, my friends. That's what the Powerball is today. No winner yesterday, but there was a winner in Michigan, picked up $2 million. Winner in 4 players. Michigan, Oregon, Texas, and Wyoming each got $2 million because they picked power play. So their $1 million went to $2 million. $2 million winner in Michigan today. You got to buy a ticket to play. You got to buy a ticket to win. What would you do? I think the cash value now is $770 million. That might change your life a little bit. I'll be right back on the Steve Gruber Show. By the way, Marco Rubio says blowing up drug boats is a lot more effective than capturing them. I think that's true. If you missed the video yesterday or haven't seen it, this Venezuelan narco terrorist boat, 11 drug runners in it, pretty good sized boat. It's got 4 outboards across the back. It's moving at quite the speed. It's in international water when it gets vaporized, boom, by the U.S. military. Drug runners. I'm surprised that, the Democrats haven't come out and criticized Donald Trump for attacking innocent civilians. These poor people seeking asylum were killed by Donald Trump. Seeking asylum with 10,000 pounds of fentanyl. These idiots. Speaking of that, the feds intercepted 1,300 barrels of meth chemicals shipped from China to Mexico. It's benzyl alcohol and methylformamide, and it would produce 420,000 pounds of methamphetamines. We seized that too. It was a high seas interception. It was on its way to the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico, proving once again that China doesn't care. China doesn't care. China will do whatever they can to destroy America, including sending drugs here. Speaking about money, we just did corrupt elites getting rich off crypto. How about hardworking American patriots being left behind? Not anymore. Block trust, IRA. Changing all of that, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans like you. With crypto fueling President Trump's America First economic miracle, $2 billion the U.S. government bought of Bitcoin, my understanding. And the Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies, helping patriots like you build serious wealth just like the elites. It's been named the #1 crypto tech platform by Bitcoin Magazine. Block Trust IRA offers up to $200 million in protection. Some clients seeing returns higher than 200%. Unbelievable, but true. I mean, look what Bitcoin has done. If you're a teacher, truck driver, small business owner, doesn't matter. Get up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you sign up right now. SteveGruberCrypto.com. Pretty easy. SteveGruberCrypto.com. Making retirement great again. When we come back, the threat of China. The threat of China. We'll talk about it straight ahead. Digging back into the headlines with, look, there's a lot going on. China is our #1 global enemy. It's what it is. They are our enemy. And if you don't think so, you're not paying attention. China is running an asymmetrical war against the United States every single day, whether it's college kids, military buildup, infiltrating South America, Central America. You pick your place. China is undermining America on every step, bringing India into its fold, undermining the relationship between the United States and India, and so much more. My next guest has a lot of insight on this. Lee Smith is the author of The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact and the plot against the president, a true story of how Congressman Devin Nunes uncovered the biggest political scandal in U.S. history, and a lot more going on. Lee, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for inviting me on today to speak with your great audience.
Well, I just want to touch base about this China, India, Russia gathering. I mean, it does look like India is cozying up to China. I know you came to talk about the Palestinian issue, and we'll get to that. But this is so front of mind to me that China is kind of bringing India into the fold. And both China and India are benefiting from Russia selling basically black market oil out the back door at a discount price. What do you make of it all?
Well, I mean, I think it's a pretty, I wouldn't say volatile situation, but I'm saying, look, earlier people were scared about BRICS, right, that we're putting together China and India and Russia, and this was super scary to some people who thought that this represented a real threat to the United States. I never did. And I'm not as worried about this either as some people are. Look, I think the president is correct to be angry at Modi and the Indians for lots of different reasons. But remember that China and India have been historical rivals for thousands and thousands of years, and they share a border. So the idea that somehow the Chinese and the Indians are going to be joining forces
and in fact, Lee,
against the United States is unlikely.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chinese and Indians exchange gunfire on occasion because, like every neighbor it has, China has a territorial dispute with India and Russia and the Philippines and every other country it touches, right?
Look, what we're seeing is the large geopolitical shapes that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, haven't changed as much as people think they may have. And a lot of it has nothing to do with ideology. When we're talking about Russia, when we're talking about China, when we're talking about India, borders matter. These things are important. Conflicts, rivalries dating back hundreds, again, if not thousands of years, these things matter. So again, while the president is absolutely right to be mad at Modi, whom at least in his first term he looked at as a partner, and I think the administration is still optimistic about India. I think that this is not the gravest concern right now for American foreign policy. But I agree with you that China certainly is.
Let's talk about foreign policy for a second, because I will say this about Trump's second term. A couple of stars have appeared in his cabinet, but one superstar has appeared. I think that's Marco Rubio. I think Marco Rubio has done a masterful job on the world stage. He is masterful when being interviewed with antagonistic news people from MSNBC or CNN. I think he's just been masterful. I would give him a very good score as Secretary of State thus far. What say you?
Well, I agree. Rubio's done a terrific job. And I think it's very important to look at what Rubio represents in the Trump cabinet, right? Because we see a lot of people, a lot of internal MAGA dissent who have been scheming against the president, especially when we're looking at stuff like Iran. And Rubio comes from a world that a lot of these people disdain when they talk about neocons and they throw out these stupid phrases as though they seem really intelligent, and they're not, they're dimwits. But Rubio comes from that world, and obviously Trump has embraced him, and Trump trusts him very much. So what does this tell us? This tells us that what a strong American foreign policy looks like, what an America first foreign policy looks like, it looks forward leaning. America first means America leads, right? It doesn't mean America sits at home and hopes that it's able to close its borders and is fighting federal court judges for the rest of its term. It means that America is out front and America is leading, and Marco Rubio is very important that way. And this reflects something very important for Donald Trump. And so I say, God bless them both. It's a fantastic partnership, and couldn't agree with you more about the Secretary of State. And of course now, National Security Advisor too.
And some of the things, and first time since Henry Kissinger, by the way, for somebody to hold both those positions since 1975. Rubio says he has about 4 jobs. That's what he said in the cabinet meeting I was in last week when I was there with the president. He's also denied visas to Palestinian leaders for a UN General Assembly meeting. He says, look, these are terrorists. and I'm not letting him in. I'm not giving him visas. What do you say to that?
Well, I say God bless him. I mean, this is sort of based on what Rudolph Giuliani did when he was mayor of New York, and he threw Arafat out of a concert. And I'm sure if Giuliani was in the Trump administration, he'd be applauding this move. And as he recovers in a hospital right now, Mayor Giuliani, I'm sure he is applauding the move. I think it's fantastic. The Palestinians are terrorists. It's not just Hamas. It's also Fatah. It's the PA. They're terrorists. They should not be allowed. They should not be allowed in New York City. Whether or not they should be allowed in the United Nations General Assembly, that's up for the creeps who run the UN to decide. But God bless the Trump administration, the Secretary of State, for keeping terrorists out of the United States. And there's also a larger general move afoot, the administration, to push terror supporters out of the country and to ensure that the Palestinians are not moving, and the UN and the left are not moving Palestinians, terrorists, to the United States under color of humanitarian assistance. So we're all grateful, I think, that the administration is looking at this very closely and takes terror and Palestinian terror very seriously.
Oh, apparently some of our friends don't. The French, the UK, now Canada, all recognizing Palestine as a nation. They're recognizing them to be a nation. How does this make any sense?
Well, I mean, it's evidence with the French in particular. The French are very weak right now, and it's really the Saudis. I mean, I'm not saying the French are being bullied. It's their choice, but it's really the Saudis that are pushing this through the French, and I don't know the precise kind of arrangements that are to be expected. But yes, I mean, we also should be extremely disappointed in the Saudis. You know, we were hopeful at one point about the reform program of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, but what we now see is he's another terror-supporting, petro monarch, and the French are a bunch of the French have rolled over to take that money. And look, when it comes down to it, what do we have? It's the United States and Israel that are sustaining Western civilization right now. Or rather, let me be more specific. It's the Trump administration, right? The left is not. It's the Trump administration and Israel that is sustaining Western civilization. So it's very important that relationship be cultivated and nurtured the way that President Trump and, as you say, Secretary of State Rubio have.
Lee, I really appreciate you being here. Lee Smith, he's got a couple of books. You should go check them out. The China Matrix, the epic story of how Donald Trump shattered a deadly pact, and The Plot Against the President, the true story of how Congressman Devin Nunes uncovered the biggest political scandal in U.S. history. Really appreciate you being here, Lee. Great stuff, and I'll have you back anytime.
I look forward to it, Steve. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. All right, look, I bring you the smartest people with the best background, so you are the most educated person out there today. Who do you want in your foxhole? I'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Glad you're here on the program with us as we work through another big day here on the show. Coming up the next hour, we're going to have Grover Norquist. Charlie LaDuff is going to be here. He's a guy who's one to pound on anybody's door and ask him any question, no matter how uncomfortable it makes him. Yes, he went after the former governor of the Fed, who Donald Trump fired, and they say he can, some say he can't. We'll have that coming up. It's pretty exciting. Charlie has been pounding on the door saying, hey, if you didn't commit mortgage fraud, then who lives at this house? Oh, you're a renter. Oh, it's good stuff. You're going to love that. That's coming up next hour. Grover Norquist, of course, Americans for Tax Reform. You're going to love that. At the moment, we talk about pain. Pain. You know, if you need pain relief, you want natural pain relief, CBD might be your way to get there. Tim Roberts has been a partner of this program for a long time, owner of Patriots Relief. Patriots Relief, pain relief, the natural way. It's an all-natural approach. So if you're stressed out or you're tired or you're just in pain and you want to find a new way to get it done, maybe this is the way. Tim, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
And by the way, we're going to take the pain out of how to get it into your pocket. Ivy was doing all the water sports over the weekend for the Labor Day weekend. She was in, well, her lower back was stressed out, so the intensive pain relief rub was right there for her, Tim. It got it done. Pain relief, the number one thing that CBD does, a natural way to do it without drugs or seeing your doctor. Pretty smart way to go, isn't it?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Actually, I have an interesting story. Talked to a new customer yesterday that her grandmother had heard us last time, and you were talking about Cody. So she bought a bottle of our pet formula here, the tincture for her granddaughter's English bulldog, Dinah, who had spinal meningitis and couldn't sleep at night. 8-year-old English bulldog, for all night long crying and barking, and English bulldogs can take a lot of pain. So that dog must have been in a lot of pain. As soon as she got the CBD, the dog was better. Like, didn't have the pain. Of course, treating it with antibiotics and other things, but now she said that the dog is 100%, just literally.
My dog Cody, Tim mentioned my dog Cody, blue heeler, cattle dog, if you will, lived to be 16 and a half. We thought she was pretty well done, maybe at about 14. That's about the time I met Tim. Had a tincture for the pet, relieved her pain, made her more mobile, made her life better for that last 2.5 years. I truly believe it. And the dog doesn't have any idea what it's getting in its food, but there it is, help the dog out. So it's not just for people, it's for pets too. And I know that some of you out there listening right now are going, really? It'll help my dog? It'll help my cat? Yes. Yes, it will. It's pretty remarkable. This pain relief is for all of us, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, because we all have an ECS, an endocannabinoid system, and that system is actually supposed to produce its own form of CBD. And environment, genetics, and age all cause the system to stop producing its own, or at least slow down its production. So we just need to supplement that system, because that system is responsible for maintaining balance in your body. It's supposed to identify things that are out of balance and help get them back into balance. So people all the time ask me, what are the side effects, Tim? And I say, there's so many side effects, I can't list them, but we don't call them side effects, we call them benefits. So whether, we've talked before, the number one reason people purchase CBD is for pain. The second is sleep, and the third is stress and anxiety. But there's so many other areas that, CBD helps you with.
Yeah, you can get tinctures like Tim saw. You can get, which the drops will go into your tongue. You can get like I said, I've got it right here. You've got intense relief rub. You've got gummies, all sorts of things you can take for relief. And again, if you're not in pain, you sleep better. If you're not in pain, you're more relaxed. You're not stressed out. I think the root of all of this is discomfort. If you can stop the discomfort naturally, by gosh, you can live a better life. That's what I really think. I mean, you just get better because you feel better all the time, Tim, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody talks about, as we get older, how bad our knees start to hurt and our lower back. Not that we're getting older, Steve, right? But
no,
people do talk about those things.
Yeah, I'm not getting older at all. If we gave a discount for my age, you'd make no money. I'll tell you, you would make no money. You'd be broke. But he is offering 47% off today on the combo packs. Internal and targeted topical relief. Here's why. 47th President of the United States. Tim's a patriot. That's why it's called Patriots Relief. And I ask you folks, please help the people that keep this program going every single day. It's not easy. It's not easy because, you know, we don't get the typical big box stores and so forth because we get blocked by those people on the left. But good patriots like Tim step up. They say, look, we're going to partner with Gruber. We're going to make it happen. Combo packs 47% off right now. How long is that sale, Tim?
We're going to do 47% off through tonight at midnight for you.
There you have it. Promo code's Gruber. The phone number, by the way, you can call and Tim will say a prayer for you. If you got something on your mind, he'll do that too. Bonus, free of charge. Free prayers for everybody.
Prayer board right over there.
Yeah. 877.
Actually, the phone was ringing already, so.
Well, there you go. Hold. Don't worry. He'll get to the phone. 877-230-1776 if you want to call. 877-230-1776. Of course, it's patriotsrelief.com. Tim, thank you for being here as always. Greatly appreciated, my friend. Let's help folks pain-free. 47% off through midnight. Help out the people that help this show and help yourself be pain-free. Tim Roberts, thank you.
Absolutely, and free shipping as well. Thank you,
free
Steve.
shipping.
God bless.
There you go. 47% off, free shipping. You can't beat that with a stick. Tim, thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Again, the promo code's Gruber. Phone number 877-230-1776. He's off to answer the phone right now. I keep that right next to my desk. Really. PatriotsRelief.com. When we come back, Chicago's been in the headlines because Donald Trump was talking about sending people there to clean up the streets. But what about New Orleans? New Orleans is in a bright red state, Louisiana. Well, he's talking about going there as well. Will Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, be extending an invitation? Potentially, because look, it's not just Washington, D.C., my friends. It's not. Every big city in America seems to have a crime problem right now. Most of these big cities, in fact, 19 out of 20 with the worst crime in America have what in common? A Democrat mayor. 19 out of 20. I mean, not quite a common denominator, but about as close as you can get. Anyhow, New Orleans could be next on the list. I'll take a break and be right back. Thank you for being here. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Well, if you're looking for a new opportunity or know someone who is, how do you feel about being an air traffic controller? I say that with all seriousness. Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, has expanded the enhanced ATCTI initiative because the FAA has a shortage of air traffic controllers nationwide. He's stepping into the gap, as is the Trump administration, expanding the number of schools that can participate in a fast-tracked air traffic control training program as the administration seeks more ways to address the nationwide air traffic controller shortage. They say they need about 3,000 more air traffic controllers around the country. Of course, they'll need more as the years go forward because of retirements and so on and so forth, but 3,000 today, okay? The Trump administration has added schools to a program that can offer the training through the FAA's Air Traffic Control Academy in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The Enhanced Air Traffic Collegiate Training Initiative program allows selected institutions to provide FAA Academy air traffic control training with their students who then head directly to the FAA facility to kick off their training rather than undergo additional training at the Air Traffic Controller Academy. Let's see. Nashville Community College became number 5 alongside the University of North Dakota, the Southern University of New York, Schenectady County Community College, Vaughn College, Middle Georgia State, all over, in fact. If you want to be an air traffic controller, check around. You might have a school somewhere in your neighborhood that can get you there. Pretty good idea, right? 3,000, and it pays really well. It's a good paying deal. So, I mean, you got a kid or a grandkid, you want to know more. If you want to know more about running a business or being successful, I read this book years ago, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. He's become a friend of mine. It's a great book. Ivy read the book first, to be honest with you, The 10X Rule. Ivy read this book, said, we got to read this book. She talked about Grant's been on the show many times now. Maybe he'll run for governor in California. But in the meantime, he's offering you, if you're a business owner, a business executive, somebody who wants to do better in business, a free phone call at Gruber10x.com. You can get a free chance to talk business. Find out what's going on with your business. Maybe get that thing that will unlock your potential and really put more money on your bottom line. Get expert insights, proven systems that you can use right away. Your breakthrough starts at Gruber10x.com. The breakthrough, Gruber10x.com. Do that right now. Get on with business, right? Meanwhile, we've got Grover Norquist, Charlie LaDuff, straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show. There's always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. Glad to have you on board as we kick off another big hour here of the program. Thank you for being here. What a short, wonderful week it has been so far. Fighting for you for the foxhole of freedom every single day, telling you the truth so you are the most prepared person when you go out there into the world to discuss whatever you need to discuss. Who do you want in your foxhole? It's an important question. 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number one, another day, another federal court has become the champion of illegal aliens and criminals. They really seem like they like violent gangs like Tren de Aragua. They want them here, apparently. Number two, our friends over at Newsmax have filed a massive lawsuit against our friends over at Fox News. This should be fun to watch as they do battle over antitrust issues. We'll see how that plays out. And number three, the problem with the left-wing media is they're left-wing. And pretend to be journalists. Man, I have this, even Esquire Bob and I have this conversation fairly often. What I mean by that? Well, look, I worked for NBC News. I worked for local affiliates. I worked for NBC O&O, WCMH, NBC4, Columbus, Ohio, as the investigative reporter for 4 years, a while back, right? And so I was in the working guts of these newsrooms. And I could tell back then, 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more now, these newsrooms were veering left. The people that were there were whoosh. You know, it was interesting because you would have people in the newsroom that would pontificate and bloviate about what it's like to run a business, what business needs to do, and what parents need to do. And these are people that had never owned a business and never been a parent, but they were experts on everything. They had gone to college, you see, and therefore they were smart young people. They knew, they had insight. The truth is they didn't know anything about anything, but they would run their mouths about anything all the time. They would run their mouths about anything all the time, even though they knew nothing about anything. And that was the problem. The newsrooms were filled with know-it-alls that had never done anything of importance. They would just bump their gums and be experts, they see. You've seen it your whole life, by the way. These journalists, these left-wing journalists, and everything you thought about the media is by and large true. But it's a lot worse than you ever thought. The institution of the media is a complete disgrace for the most part. They sit on one side of the political aisle. One side, but for the most part, 9 out of 10 sit on one side of the political aisle, and I don't know why that is. Maybe they just want to be antagonists. Maybe they think attacking America makes them relevant or something. Maybe attacking America and putting down people that are from Michigan and back roads and Montana and Maine, somehow that they're more elite. Their feet have been on concrete more, and therefore they know more. Let me give you an example of one of the most egregious violators. Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd was on NBC News for years. The host of Meet the Press, right? Was that the show? Meet the Press? Whatever, which one. I think it was Meet the Press. And here's proof that Chuck Todd was never a journalist. Ever. He was, always, and still is an activist hack. I'm sorry, Chuck. You were a fraud. Although we saw right through, we knew pretty well for a long time that Chuck Todd was a fraud and a hack. But here's some evidence. Listen.
These health rumors, he only has himself to blame. And the entire Trump world only has themselves to blame for this. They live in this world of conspiracy and misinformation. They manufactured all sorts of garbage, whether it's about Hillary Clinton's health in 2016, Joe Biden's health in 2020 or 2024. My goodness. So guess what? Good for the goose, good for the gander. Bottom line is he's clearly got some health issues. We know this administration is not forthcoming pretty much about anything. Times 10 when it comes to Trump's personal health. I do think this has the ability to become the next Epstein frenzy. There's been a few things where suddenly they take off and he can't seem to control his MAGA troops. The Epstein files were one of them, and his health may be another one.
Nobody cares about the Epstein stuff anymore. 34,000 files released. Chuck Todd pretending to be a journalist. Hillary's health was an issue. Remember when they had to drag her to the van because she stumbled and passed out? We know why now. She was on drugs. Heavy drugs, we've been told that. And he's actually defending the health of Joe Biden? Good God, Chuck. You're an embarrassment to yourself when you go that far down the rabbit hole. Of course, everybody knows now that Joe Biden couldn't even sign executive orders. No, the auto pen did that. And Chuck further proves just how much in the tank he is for the left. Says crime enforcement in big cities is only about deportations. It's not about saving lives. Not about that. It's about deporting people. Listen.
I do think that the traditional press is incorrectly been explaining what's been happening here. This is all about ICE. There's nothing else involved here. And I think that needs to be the focal point, and people need to understand it. Doesn't make it less popular, I think, with some, or less unpopular, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I've always said, I don't think this stuff's unpopular. I don't think it's super popular either, right?
Yeah. Let me tell you about it. The number is still the same. 3 homicides in Washington, D.C. since the 11th of August. 3. Including a 12-day homicide-free streak in the middle there. Right? One on August 11th, one on August 13th, and one on August 26th. Now, if you don't count the day that it started, that's more than 3 weeks now, by the way. I think that's 23 days. 3 homicides in 23 days in Washington, D.C. It is about saving lives, you morons. Of course, he's there with Chris Cillizza, another left-wing hack who pretends to be a journalist. And then you have to ask yourself, share this one last thing. The narco-terrorists that were blown up in the boat, which, by the way, Marco Rubio says it's a lot better to blow them up than to try to take them into custody, because if you blow them up, others notice. If you're running fentanyl across the open ocean in a boat with 4 outboards across the back and 1,600 horsepower, and you get vaporized, yeah, that's a real attention getter, because that's been all over the internet. But reporters seem to care more about the killing of narco-terrorists than the killing of American citizens by the drugs that they are transporting. Oh, my God, listen.
On the Venezuela vessel strike, what legal authority were you guys working under, and will there be an after report on the strike?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be an after report. I mean, the legal authority, and I want to talk about these kids, is that there are people who are bringing literal terrorists who are bringing deadly drugs into our country, and the President of the United States ran on a promise of stopping this poison from coming into our country. Another question?
Yeah. Any other questions? We're getting rid of drug dealers. This part of the program brought to you by PuroClean's Veterans Initiative. PuroVet. Veterans find purpose in property restoration and owning their own company. We salute those who served. It's part of PuroClean. You can find out more at purovet.com, purovet.com, or call 855-PuroVet. If you're a veteran or know somebody who is, this is your chance to get to the front of the line. Own your own company. Clean up the neighborhood. So what we're trying to do here every day is clean up the neighborhood. All right. I've got Grover Norquist straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, big, beautiful bill number 2. That's part of the conversation, of course. Big, beautiful bill number 2. Of course, there's also this government shutdown, apparently, that's being discussed in some places. I'm tired of all that nonsense, by the way. Do your jobs. Get a budget in place. Cut wasteful spending. This is pretty simple stuff here. Big, beautiful bill number 2. What could it do? It could pick up some of the loose ends, some of the things that they missed in big, beautiful bill number 1. Grover Norquist, President of Americans for Tax Reform, with me. Grover, nice to see you today.
Hey, Steve.
So you've got some ideas here. An op-ed for the Daily Caller lays out a variety of tax cuts that you'd like to put forth. Tell us what's front of mind for you, sir.
Well, these are ideas that were discussed either in the first Trump administration or in this last discussion, and they just didn't fit into the sandbox as they were putting it together. The biggest one is one that Trump came very close to getting back in his first term, and that is the end of taxation on inflation. Right now, when you sell your home, you pay a capital gains tax on it. What does that include? The real gain, your house is worth more than it used to, but also simply all the inflation during the Biden years, if you're old enough, during the Jimmy Carter years, which is hard to believe was worse than the Biden years. And then add up every 1 or 2% each year, and pretty soon, most of the increase in the value, the capital gain of your home, your small business, your farm, your ranch, stocks you bought when you were younger, all of those things are worth more, and some of it's real. That you should pay capital gains tax on until we get rid of it. But right now, under the law, you pay a capital gains tax. What you shouldn't do is be paying income taxes on inflation. And so what they can do is by an executive order out of Treasury, a rule, and this is Bassett, who's the head of the Treasury Department. He understands this is very powerful. The president supported it back in his first term, and I've talked to him about it directly. We have a lot of support in the House and the Senate. I believe we could either pass it legislatively or do it by executive order. It would make it easier to sell your home and move when you get older and not get hit with this gigantic tax hike, or your small business that you built up during your lifetime. Huge step forward.
Yeah, and one of the things that would create is we know there's a housing pinch in America in some places. Now, housing prices have come down in some notable places like Fort Myers, Florida, and Las Vegas and so forth. But generally in this country, there's a pinch on housing. If people that are older could sell their 4-bedroom house and move to a 2-bedroom house, it would open up housing opportunities for young families and so forth because you didn't tax the daylights out of them. Seems to make sense to me. Something else here, though, that came up, and it's way down in your op-ed, but I saw this and I chuckled. And it's about the war in 1898, the Spanish-American War, the tax on telephones that were only for the very rich in this country. Well, that tax is still in place. And I learned from your op-ed, Grover, you being brilliant, that 47% of the households in Pennsylvania still have landlines and are still paying a ridiculous tax on a war that ended 130 years ago or something like that. I mean, this stuff is still on the books. How is that possible?
This is the way big government and the left operate. They say, oh, we're going to tax the very rich. And 130 years ago,
or whatever,
only rich people had phones, right? This is before 1900, during the Spanish-American War. And what happened? Well, within a few years, everybody had a phone, and everybody's paying the tax. And then they did cut back a lot of it. I thought we'd killed it, right? We cut it back, and there's still pieces of it still there. Taxing people today of moderate means, of all means, we need to get rid of those sorts of excise taxes. Frankly, you want to help middle-income people, cut the beer tax, the wine tax, the tax on guns to protect yourself is a 10%, 11% tax on buying a pistol in order to protect yourself at home. And so all of these things just make life more difficult for average citizens. Take those taxes down or get rid of them completely.
And here's another: capital gains taxes on mutual funds. Beth Van Dyne, good friend of mine now, who's been on the program a number of times, I've got to know her pretty well, wants to stop taxing the growth on mutual funds until the shares are actually sold and that profit is realized. Again, however, how much of that is inflation? Again, this inflation thing really has me thinking about, it must apply across to so many different items, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is a huge, huge step forward. Reagan took the tax on inflation out of your wages back in 81, 82, 83. So that those brackets that inflation would put you up in a higher tax bracket. Oh, you're richer than you were last year. Really? Well, inflation says you're richer than you were. So you're now in a higher tax bracket. Reagan said and passed a law, the tax brackets move with inflation. You do not get put into a higher tax bracket because of inflation. That was a very important step forward. We need to build on what Reagan accomplished and what Trump fought to do in his first term.
Yeah, we need to, just so many pieces and parts that float around in there. That's what happens when you have pages and pages, thousands of pages in a tax bill. I mean, how do you ever find it all? I mean, maybe the AI team from Doge could find it, but good Lord. If you got something from 1898, and to be fair, it's not 130 years, it's only 127 years later, Grover, I exaggerated.
I went to public school. I don't know all these things.
Yeah. Anyhow, I mean, we got to clean it up. I'll give you the last word.
We have a real opportunity this fall to continue to build on the successes of the Big Beautiful Bill. This is very important. Expanding health savings accounts, making them available for more people. That's a very big opportunity. I think getting rid of or reducing a lot of these federal excise taxes. If your state wants to do something stupid and have the excise tax, well, that's up to your state. You've got to deal with the governor that you vote for. But there's no reason to hit those excise taxes on all Americans.
100% agree with that. Grover Norquist, President of Americans for Tax Reform. My friend, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you.
All right, I'll take a break. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Just say no to taxes. Friends don't let friends pay taxes on inflation either, by the way. Back after this. All right, so Newsmax, having gone public here recently, announced that this announced yesterday. Newsmax, one of my competitors out there in the world of news, as is Fox News, I guess. They filed a major federal antitrust lawsuit against Fox and Fox News. The suit, led by prominent antitrust litigators Kellogg, Hansen, Todd, Feigl, and Frederick, accuses Fox of engaging in an extensive and unlawful campaign to block competition in the market for right-leaning pay television news, including Newsmax. Newsmax action seeks damages under Sections 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act, the former Florida Antitrust Act, the Florida Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act. Under federal law, any damages awarded in this case will be trebled, meaning Fox News would pay triple if Newsmax prevails. The complaint alleges that Fox has abused its dominance in the right-leaning pay TV news market for years by coercing distributors into unfair carriage agreements designed to exclude or marginalize competitors like Newsmax and Real America's Voice. So by extension, One American News, I guess, too. Fox News, described in the complaint as a must-have channel for distributors, leverages its market power to impose restrictions that harm consumers, stifle competition, drive up costs across the pay TV ecosystem. What do you think of that? A little dust-up. Newsmax getting in there. I think that's fascinating, actually. I do think it's fascinating, and I'm glad to see them jumping on board there. If you want to learn something and you don't want to watch Newsmax, and why would you when you can sit here and watch this and get every bit of the information you would anywhere else? If you'd like some free information about America, American history, how about Hillsdale College's more than 40 free online programs about the Constitution, the freedoms that we have, the beginnings of this country, the people that built it, why we're here, how the Bible played into all of it, how Christianity played into all of it. There's 40 different courses about the Declaration of Independence, C.S. Lewis, so many different things. Go to gruberforhillsdale.com. It's free. All right, gruberforhillsdale.com. It's free. Great courses, well done, great people. Victor Davis Hanson, Larry Arnn, other great instructors. It's like free college courses at home, and they're so well done. gruberforhillsdale.com. You're going to love it. Send me an email when you do, and I'll put it up on the program. To love my Kubota. You know, sometimes in life you meet people that are just, well, they're inclined to stick their nose right into the action, kick the hornet's nest, if you will, which I appreciate. And some are pretty entertaining at it. My next guest is one of those folks. He doesn't care. He does not care who he offends because he's willing to ask tough questions of real people that are often and most often public officials. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And can you explain to me why you're doing that? Charlie LaDuff is joining me this morning. Charlie, great to have you here. Journalist, writer, media personality, a guy who's out there for the Michigan Enjoyer making these great videos. Charlie, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the Powerball number?
The Powerball numbers we lost, but somebody in Michigan won $2 million, which, by the way, if you're that person, I'm willing to pal around today and the rest of the day for your $2 million.
I owe the guy at the gas station because he was praying over my ticket. So, you, me, and he, well, I'll go get some chops.
Yeah, $1.7 billion. Well, almost as much as Ilhan Omar made last year in the market. Almost, but not quite. Let's see here. So, Lisa Cook, she is I don't know if she's fired or not fired. She's on the board of governors for the Fed, right? And she is apparently mortgage fraud's a thing now, whether it's Adam Schiff or Tish James over there in New York or Lisa Cook right here in Michigan. Give them the backstory here, Charlie. Here's a woman who's on the Federal Reserve Board, who is one of the people that sets the interest rates for you and I on my credit cards or my used car loan. And apparently she's not playing by the rules.
Who knows? The funny, let me go backwards with this story is I'm not the expert on it. I just knew there was a Michigan angle, so I pursued it. But loosely, in 2021, she got not one, not two, but 3 mortgages. One of the mortgages was for a primary residence. That one's in Michigan. A second is for a principal residence, which is a primary residence. That one's in Atlanta. And the third is for a secondary home in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is weird because she was a professor. The timeline for this was 2 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days. So she bought 3 expensive homes in 2 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days on a professor's salary. So there's a question there. 2, you can only have 1 primary residence. That's why they call it primary. You get better tax rate. You get a better mortgage rate. You get better insurance rates. When you do rentals, those are risky. You got to put more down. When you have a second home, it's risky. You got to put more down. So that's what she did before she went to the Fed. Then she gets named to the board of directors for the Chicago Fed. And this continues. She's claiming primary residence. Then she gets named to the board of governors about a year after that by Biden. All the way up to this year, she's still claiming this. Now watch, Steve. Here's what I got. It's in Ann Arbor. On April 10th of this year, she or her managing company listed it, certified it as a single family unit for rent. Okay? Now, in 2025 of this year, she's claimed it 100%, I've circled it, as a principal resident exemption on her taxes, which she also did in Atlanta.
Well, wait. You can't have both. You can't have both.
You can't have both.
Here's what I love about you, Charlie. We got a bit of video here we're going to share with the folks. Because Charlie says, I need to know who lives there. If you've claimed it as your primary residence 100%, and you do get big, right? If you go buy a cabin in northern Michigan, your interest rates are higher, your down payment's bigger, just like you said, Charlie, because it's a higher risk
100%.
maneuver, right? So, but here, roll the tape. Here's Charlie just trying to get to the bottom of it. Entertain me. Go ahead.
Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook has 3 homes and big troubles. She claimed to the banks that she lived at all of them, but real estate records show she listed 2 of them for rent. That's not legal. So Lisa must be living here in Ann Arbor at the 3rd house, right?
The door's dirty. There's a key lockbox right there. There's a white man at the dining room table. It's weird. I don't think she's married.
Hello?
How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. My name's Charlie. I'm a reporter. This house is in the news. I was wondering if Lisa Cook lives here, or do you rent?
Yeah, we're just renting, so you'll have to...
I'm sorry?
You'll have to talk to me.
Okay, you just live in here?
Yeah.
Okay, just renting?
No comment.
I'm sorry?
You'll have to talk to the owner.
Okay, the owner, would you have a contact?
number. Oh. Oh. We'll have to talk to
There you go, Charlie. There you go. See a runner, and then the
Wait,
guy,
play-
he wanted nothing to do with
Tell
you.
your producer, play it to the end. There's 15 seconds left. You got to see it to the end. It's pretty funny.
Go.
Okay, the owner.
I love it.
Oh.
What a good crew you have.
Oh. We'll have to talk to the owner. They're just living here. Oh. Governor? Where do you live?
Michigan enjoy it. And by the way, this is what you do this all the time. It's not just about her. It's look, you're playing dirty. If you did that or I did that, we're getting jammed up for that. The IRS is going to send us a bill. You know, this is not even a close call, is it?
Look, you know, like my brother lost his house back in the, 2008 when mortgage fraud took down
Sure.
the world financial system. That's why this stuff's in place. The reason I went to that house is, okay, we're hearing a lot of stuff in the media. Is there any evidence that she rented these houses? You can, make it. She's trying to find it out. So let me actually go there and see if there's a fraudulent rental. Now, that's quite probably what you saw there. That's as close as you get to real life proof. That's why I went there. Number two, okay, if you have a house in Cambridge and you have a condo in Atlanta and you have one in Ann Arbor you're not in, and your office is in Washington, D.C., madam, where do you live now? And on your tax filings, did you claim the rental income? You can't do any of this, Steve. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And why do so many of these things seem to come back to our great state? I mean, that's the thing. You've got endless stories here in Michigan. You don't have to go very far from your home to find this stuff, Charlie. I mean, it's just it's a gold mine.
There's
every
always
day.
a Michigan angle, Steve. Always
Yeah.
a Michigan angle, man. Oh, let me give you one,
Always.
by the way, before we forget. Do you remember Michigan Supreme Court Justice Diane Hathaway? Do you remember her?
Oh, sure.
Okay, no. Okay, she went to prison. We down here sent her to prison because here's what she did. She used to teach real estate law. She had a home in Florida and two in Grosse Pointe Park. So she put the one in Florida in her stepdaughter's name and one of the Grosse Pointe Park properties in another stepchild's name, and then went to the bank and said, I can't afford this house. I don't have any assets. Take it back on a short sale, which they did, which we caught her, and she went to prison. Now, in that case, I was popping out of her recycle bins, you know what I mean? Catching her in her driveway. So,
Hey, Charlie, you
I
got a
did
minute
this
more?
with Bob.
You got a minute more?
Yeah, I got a minute more.
All right, well,
Sure.
sit tight. We're going to hit a quick break. Back with Charlie Duff from the Michigan Enjoyer. It's enjoyer.com, by the way, enjoyer.com. He's talking about a lot of things. Are Great Lakes fish safe to eat? Is Jocelyn Benson even a Lions fan? Talk about a scandal. Back with Charlie the Duff after this. You know, you wonder, where is the governor right now? Where did she go? Japan? Somewhere. Took like 20 people with her. Charlie the Duff's still with her. Where'd the governor go? Charlie, didn't she just go on a trip and pack the plane full of her friends and went across the ocean somewhere? I'm not paying attention.
Probably. She can go to hell for all I care, man. Come on. It's on fumes.
Okay, so when you talk about corruption in Michigan, I go to these mega sites, the MEDC, these Chinese battery plants that are screwing up our environment. How does it make sense to bulldoze, cornfields and green space, actual green space, to put in Chinese solar panels? I don't understand any of this. Everybody's getting kickbacks. We never get a job out of the deal. We get promised, we're going to make 10,000 jobs. We get nothing, over and over again. I mean, it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Well, look, it's frustrating for me because so many things you got to keep track of, right? And article, report after report, all the paperwork you're doing, only to end up with, told you so. Now, I'm based out of Detroit, so look at this Hudson skyscraper building. We're on year 9. Now we're talking about a redo for the Renaissance Center, and we got to pay for it? I don't think so. It's time for this stuff to end.
It is time for this stuff to end. All right, so when I look at your website here, Michigan Enjoyer, it's enjoyer.com, folks, for anybody who wants to look at this. There's so much entertaining stuff on here, it's hard to keep up with. My whole life, I've been told, don't eat that Great Lakes fish, it's bad for you. Look, I've eaten Great Lakes fish my entire life. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. Here's what I know. The way they used to do it, they would take a whole fish, and drop it face first into the grinder. And then it would come, they would test that. Well, until I start eating fish skin, fish brains, fish kidneys, fish livers, which I don't, I only eat the fillets, then I'm not worried about the toxics, whatever they might be, that end up in the fish's brain and those tissues. Is it safe to eat fish in Michigan, Charlie? Yes or no?
I sure hope so, because I am.
Yeah, me too. That's the thing. I hunt deer here, and I eat fish here. And I'm part of the, I'm part of the ecosystem because I go out there and I kill stuff and I catch stuff. And I think it's fine, but all these people try to scare the hell out of us every day. Why?
There's a lot of money to be made on it, Steve. Well, okay, they'll tell you because we're looking out for you. I'd much rather have the red and the yellow dyes taken out of the food. And
agreed.
Frankly, I'd like the fluoride to be taken out of the water. Let's just focus. You know what I'm saying? Let's just focus. There's a lot of money in fear. That's all I can tell you.
There's a lot of money in fear. I think, yeah, I heard that. I think they called it COVID. There's a lot of money in fear. I mean, good God.
By the way, I'm expecting, hopefully, somebody from the governor's crew's listening, because at the end of the month, all that COVID documentation about your response to the federal government when Trump's DOJ asked you for the nursing home data, it cost me over $3,000. That's coming due, and we're going to find out what you were talking about and what you gave the feds and what you decided not to give the feds. I have not forgotten. We're going to get to the answer about what happened to our old people. Can you imagine it, Steve? Let's just go back now with time behind us and look how silly this was. We're going to shut everything down, shut down the economy, shut down our children's lives in order to keep grandma safe, right? We don't want anybody going to grandma's house, hugging her and killing her with COVID. So I got an idea. Why don't we put sick old people in grandma's house, and that'll be, the greatest medicinal cure to a pandemic ever.
It was insane.
Old people.
Yeah, it was insane. I know people personally who had to wave goodbye to their grandparents through a window because they weren't allowed to go in the room, and these people died alone. Basically, with somebody outside.
I couldn't hold my brother's hand while he was dying. I get it. I was there with the old man, married 70 years to his ladies. He built like a fishing hut outside of her window. His name was Frank. Beautiful. So cold outside. He wouldn't let her go. And I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten about Clarence, the Korean War vet, who they trucked him around 8 separate times. He kept relapsing, and they kept taking him nursing home, to hospital, to another nursing home. Well, how many people did he infect? Why did you treat him this way? The guy was drowning on his own fluids, and this is the way he got treated, and I will not let it go. We're going to get that answer.
And so the deadline is the end of the month. What did you say about spending $3,000? What do you mean by that?
The oldest journalism in the book, trick in the book, Steve, which is, I hereby for you all the stuff that you were talking about and what you actually gave to the feds. well, that'll take approximately $3,147.80, and you're not going to pay that, are you? And I go, oh, I'm gonna raise that money. In fact, here's $3,147.90. You can keep the dime. Call somebody who cares. Get me my documents. You're toast.
Yeah, and you got the money. It is one of the oldest tricks in the books. Oh, by the way, it'll cost you $3,000 whatever dollars, and it'll take 10 years to get you the documents. That's the other trick of the book. They just stall, right? So that's coming. Great stuff, Charlie. Good talking to you today. Always appreciate you being here. If you guys want to find out more, it's enjoyer.com. I'll give you the last word, Charlie LaDuff.
Okay, Steve, go to enjoy.com. Also, No BS News Hour. And let me just tell you what I'm working on for next week. Hey, Jocelyn Benson, how'd you actually get that job? You were the least qualified. Where did you come from, and how did you get that job?
Least
See you
qualified.
next Tuesday.
Least coming
qualified. How'd you become dean? How did that happen? Ooh.
There goes Charlie. See, he doesn't care who he pisses off. Charlie, go get him. Go get him, Tiger.
Thanks for having me, brother.
All right.
Bye.
Always good. Charlie LaDuff. Enjoy.com. And the No BS News Hour, he's right about that. There, Jocelyn Benson. Knock, knock. Who's there? Good stuff. We're going to be doing more with Charlie in the future. We'll tell you about that in the days to come. Because just something I can't quite get into quite yet. But I can tell you he's going to be more on the radar and more unleashed than ever. More unleashed and more involved in these conversations than ever. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Remember to support the people that support this program, that make it possible every single day. I appreciate you doing that. When we come back, Brock Palmbush will have sports here on The Steve Gruber Show. All righty then. Let's check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. A full schedule of games in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included Toronto, Detroit, and the LA Angels. National League winners included Atlanta, Milwaukee, and San Francisco. In the WNBA, there were two games. Atlanta beat Los Angeles 86-75. Ryan Howard led the Dream with 19 points, and Chicago blew out Connecticut 88-64. Angel Reese led Chicago with 18 points, 13 rebounds. At the U.S. Open in New York, quarterfinal action concluded. Amanda Anisimova, the American, upset second-seeded Iga Swiatek in straight sets to move on to today's semifinals. She'll play two-time champ Naomi Osaka. Osaka beat Karolina Muchova in straight sets. On the men's side, top seed Jannik Sinner won easily to advance. He'll play Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime in the semis. Felix beat 8th-seeded Alex de Minaur in a tight 4-set match. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Greatly appreciated. All right, so lap of luxury, Section 8. Section 8 housing. You know what that is? Section 8 housing is, for people on government assistance, right? Supposed to keep people from being homeless, give them rent assistance, maybe pay all their rent. A lot of people that are on, SNAP get rental assistance, Section 8. Okay, that's the way it works. I used to get some Section 8 applications when I owned a couple of rental homes. How about this? In the state of Colorado, what do you think the top end money is for free rent? Top end money, free rent. How about $3,879? $3,879. An amazing amount. $4,000 a month for rent. Supposed to keep people out of poverty, not put them in, luxury. The people remain in the program an average of 15 years. So if you're paying $50,000 for 15 years, that's $750,000, isn't it? Yeah, remarkable. Colorado, nice job. Maybe you get up the ante a little bit. I'll take a break. And when we come back in the next hour, State Representative Marlon Stutzman will be here. All right? Don't go anywhere. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And yes, it is. Glad to be on board with you today. Here we go into another great big hour of the Steve Gruber Show, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. It's what I do every single day. Who do you want in your foxhole? Maybe Charlie the Duff. Maybe you want him in your foxhole. Man, was he entertaining last hour. 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, don't lose your mind. Don't lose your hair. A new gel from MSU might help cancer patients keep the hair on their head. That's pretty cool. Number 2, another failure of the EV revolution is it just peters out. It just peters out. Another battery plant closing in Michigan. And number 3, excuse me, number 3. I got a hairball. That's all right. It'll pass. I want to talk about this strike by the Trump administration vaporizing a load of drugs, illegal drugs from the Maduro regime. Trump's strike on cartel vessel off Venezuela sends a clear warning to Maduro and Venezuela. We're done playing nice. And it sends a message, I think, to drug runners like no other. Hey, if you're going to run drugs, that's cool. We're not going to arrest you. We're going to kill you. If you're in international waters, we're going to kill you. President Trump shared the footage of the military strike against a Tren de Aragua narco-terrorist vessel carrying drugs from Venezuela Tuesday. The unprecedented strikes by U.S. Marines on cartel-operated vessels signal that the Trump administration is taking a hard new approach when it comes to countering the international drug trade. While the U.S. military has long worked to counter cartel and international gang organizations beginning in the late 80s, the Tuesday strike that killed 11 members of Tren de Aragua, which the Trump administration designated as a terrorist organization in February, marked a definite shift from previous seize and apprehend operations. We're done with that. There's no seize and arrest. The gloves are off. Said Isasis, I think that's how you say, Isasis Medina, a former Venezuelan UN diplomat turned Caracas dissident. The recent U.S. Marine strike on the alleged Tren de Aragua narcotics vessel operated out of Venezuela under a regime deeply linked to crimes against humanity and narco-terrorism marked a turning point in the fight against international organized crime, he says. President Trump has made it clear since his first administration that he strongly opposes Maduro's regime and even announced a $50 million reward for information leading to his arrest and conviction because he stole the election. Nobody believes that Maduro won the election. Not even Maduro, because he didn't. Trump's decision to deploy U.S. troops off the South American nation prompted Maduro Monday to decry the move as an attempt to seek regime change and said Venezuela is confronting the biggest threat that has been seen on our continent in the last 100 years. Not really. You let China in. So that's false. The White House faced some international pushback and questions regarding what this strike meant for future U.S. policy when it comes to countering cartels and geopolitics in South America. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, looking to set the record straight during a Wednesday trip to Mexico, where he was also addressing cross-border arms and narcotics smuggling, said the President of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. That's why they have been declared terrorist organizations. They have been declared terrorist organizations. And he said the idea of seize and apprehend doesn't work. Because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose 2% of their cargo. They bake it into the economics. What will stop them is when you blow them up and you get rid of them. Just blow them up. Maduro is unwilling or unable to stop this. President Trump has no such qualms. The Marines have a strict rule of engagement when targeting a terrorist organization which was believed to be moving drugs intended for the U.S. Here's more from Medina. Venezuela's Tren de Aragua, backed by Maduro, operates much like other state-sponsored terror groups, including Iran's support for the Houthis. Hamas and Hezbollah all destabilize regions through illicit trade and violence, said Medina. Safe harbors in international waters are no longer sanctuaries for traffickers and smugglers. This strike sends a clear warning to those businesses that they now face decisive and powerful resistance from American forces and their allies. And despite Maduro's idea that his suspicion that Trump would like to see him out, experts remain skeptical. Though the Tuesday operation is an extension of Trump's anti-Maduro policies, Juan Cruz, a former National Security Council senior director for Western Hemisphere Affairs, said he does not believe it indicates any major changes are on the horizon for regime change. But there is a change on the horizon for drug runners. You will be killed. You will not be arrested. You will be killed by the United States Marines. I can't imagine this deployment that had this specifically as an objective, but Trump will certainly take that as a win because it had that outcome. Look, it's time to change tactics. The war on drugs wasn't working, so how about we make it a war on the drugs? Yeah, that'll change attitudes. That'll change hearts and minds. Here's that EV story I was telling you about. A Holland battery plant pulling the plug less than 2 years after opening, leaving almost 40 Michigan workers without jobs. This is from Michigan News Source, my news company. God bless them. They do a great job. Natron Energy, based in California, built its sodium-ion battery facility on West 48th Street in 2024. They told the state on August 28th it would close both its Holland and California sites after failing to secure enough funding or customer purchase orders to keep the business running. 95 workers will be laid off. Another failure of the Green New Steel. The Green New Steel. Yeah. There you have it. The Holland site had been pitched as part of the next wave of clean energy innovation. What is it? Garbage. Garbage. You know, again, if your business plan is set up on the predicate that you have to have taxpayer dollars to support your business, that's not a business plan. That's fleecing taxpayers. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at Wolverine Water. For 75 years, Wolverine has been delivering the best water in Michigan, American-made products. Michigan folks, Michigan people getting it done. If you've got those hard water stains in your tub or your toilet and you can't stand it, or the water doesn't taste right, or maybe it has an odor to it, you need Wolverine today. Or if you've just got an old system, time to upgrade, WolverineWaterSystems.com. You tell my good friend Paul Mahaney that you heard it here, and Gruber said, come on over, clean up the water around here. He'll say, I appreciate that. WolverineWaterSystems.com, free water test today. WolverineWaterSystems.com, free water test today. I'll be back with Congressman Marlin Stutzman of Indiana after this. All right, housing. It's tough in America. You know that. We talk about it here quite a bit. That's why we would like to end the taxation of inflation. When your house is worth 10 times more than when you bought it, then we shouldn't have to pay taxes on it. We heard that from Grover Norquist earlier this program. Now we're bringing in Congressman Marlin Stutzman from Indiana. He represents Indiana's 3rd Congressional District. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Great to be with you.
And just tell folks real quickly, where in Indiana is this district of yours?
Yeah, it's the best part of the state. It's up in the northeastern part of the state. Fort Wayne is the center and covers kind of that border between Michigan, Ohio, and then we've got a lot of manufacturing, a lot of agriculture. It's a solid Republican conservative state district there.
Great place. All right, so the Streamlining Rural Housing Act. What does it mean? Why is this important? You've got a lot of co-sponsors on this bill from all over the country, from Georgia and Colorado and elsewhere. Tell us about this.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, housing, it's becoming one of the hot topics that I hear about. In fact, of all the issues that we discussed over the August work period back in the district was housing. And a lot of this comes back down just simply the interest rates, but there's also a lot of rules and regulations around lending when it comes to housing, and especially in the rural areas. It's unfortunate because, back when I bought my first house, I was around 28, 29 years old, and that was the national average, was about 28 years old on average for first-time home buyers. That number has now moved up to 38. And so what I think is one of going to be the top issues for the 26 election is going to be the housing market, because we've seen inflation, we've seen rules and regulations making it harder to actually buy a home. Banks have so many rules and hurdles that they have to get over to actually qualify an individual to purchase a home. And a lot of younger people are just deciding to rent because they can't simply afford to buy a home. And so what we're pursuing is to streamline the entire process, to make it a simpler process for especially first-time home buyers, but the home, the entire industry, to have less Washington paperwork involved, to make it easier for first-time home buyers to go into a bank, work with the lender to be able to fulfill the American dream. And so that is our effort. It's a bipartisan effort. I sit on the Financial Services Committee, and we hear from I hear from Democrats too that talk about the difficulties that people have in their district to be able to buy a home, and that's what we're trying to do, is cut the red tape.
So if you can cut the red tape and allow this to happen, how many people do you hope to move? I mean, obviously, look, I'm in Michigan, you're in Indiana. We got a lot of back roads and quiet places that need people. The small town I live in, the school district here needs more people in the seats of the schools. A lot of places facing that challenge. And without more houses, well, the schools struggle as well, don't they?
Absolutely. And you're talking about the issue that really is close to my heart, because, I mean, I grew up in a small town called Howe. There's about 600 people that live in that little town. I love it. We got a couple of nice little restaurants there, great people, hardworking people. But let me give you a quick example. I was visiting Jay County, which is south of Fort Wayne. And the school district there, I was talking to the superintendent, and back in the 80s, when manufacturing was really strong in the Midwest, the school was built for 6,000 students. Well, today, because of NAFTA, because of consolidation in agriculture, jobs have left that area, and they only have about 3,300 students. So our rural areas are really seeing a decline in population because the jobs aren't there. And some things have changed. People are able to work remotely. I think there's a little bit of a move back to the rural areas,
to the sticks,
suburban areas. Yeah. But it's a great place to live and raise a family.
It is.
My boys, I've got two boys. They absolutely love being at the farm and growing up there because they get to get out and stretch their legs.
Absolutely. One of the other things you mentioned here in the press release. I think it's important to focus on. Rising construction costs, that's one thing, okay. But there's a rising construction cost because there's labor shortages. And there's a labor shortage for carpenters, electricians, plumbers, all of these trades, because we told everybody for 2 or 3 generations, go to college, son, go to college, young lady. No, we need people that can do things like use a hammer, put in a toilet, wire a house. We need trades. That's a big part of the pressure, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, I remember in high school there was a trades class, and I grew up on the farm, so I was being taught how to change the oil in a tractor and a pickup truck out on the farm, how to weld, how to build a.
And we need welders too. Yeah, a lot of those. Go on.
We do, and the emphasis has become on all of them. They're good jobs. We need people that can go into software and coding and all of those pieces, but we need people that are able to build the cars, to be able to build the houses, to be able to weld and to do the maintenance on automobiles. We need those jobs as well. And it's not necessarily that they can't be taught. It's just that we don't put an emphasis on it. There's too much emphasis on other pieces. And people are, young guys especially are getting a 4-year degree, and then they get out of college and they go out to the workplace. And they're like, well, this is not what I was, trained for, but that's not, I'm only going to get paid this much.
Let me guarantee you this. They told people for years, hey, go learn to code. Go learn to be a computer programmer. Those folks are in trouble because AI is going to bounce them out. AI is not going to bounce out a truck driver or a carpenter or an electrician or a plumber or a person putting a roof on your house. Congressman, I wish I had some more time. You come back anytime because you are on it. These are important things. I got a good friend who lives in Bluffton. That might be in your district, a little south of there.
It is. You bet.
Great place. Great deer hunting there. Love that spot, by the way. Congressman, thank you for being here. Marlon Stutzman, Indiana 3. You come back anytime. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
There you have it. He's on it, man. He is on it. All right? These are things we have to talk about beyond the distractions. All right? We'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so this is a cool story. Comes to us from our friends at Michigan State University. Good news is nice, right? Good news is nice once in a while. Certainly is. We should have more of it, in fact. This is a cool breakthrough in discovery. Comes from Michigan News Source. Again, if you want to find out all the best news articles, MichiganNewsSource.com. Of course, Katie Hyde and Cheryl Fritz are top-of-the-hour newscasters from Michigan News Source all over the state. More than 20 stations carrying Michigan News Source live broadcasts every day. All right, so here it is. Losing hair shouldn't have to be part of fighting cancer. At least that's the hope behind a new Michigan State University study testing a shampoo-like gel designed to keep chemotherapy patients from going bald. How nice, right? Keep some of your dignity. Keep some of your hair. The gel, developed by MSU engineering professor Brian Smith and his team, works by temporarily restricting blood flow to the scalp, limiting how much of the toxic drugs reach hair follicles during treatment. Just slow it down, folks. Slow your roll. This unmet need of chemotherapy-induced alopecia appealed to me because it is adjacent to the typical needs in medicine, such as better treatments and earlier, more accurate diagnostics for cancer, Smith said in a statement. Currently, the only approved defense against chemotherapy baldness is the cold cap, a costly option that can also come with side effects. Now, This experimental gel offers a different approach. Applied before chemotherapy begins, it clings to the scalp at body temperature, delivering drugs such as lidocaine, adrenaline, and that shrink blood vessels, shield follicles. Once treatment ends, patients can wash it out with cool water. Nice job, Professor. Hats off, literally. Hats off to my friends at Michigan State. It's football season, you know, so if your kids are playing football, are you protecting them from getting a head injury? NeuroGuard, invented by a Michigan dentist. Yeah, NeuroGuard stops concussions before they happen. My good friend, Dr. Michael Hutchinson, Traverse City, Michigan, has patented a mouth guard for athletes in all sports. Using this mouth guard prevents concussions almost completely. It's been studied by Michigan State and Wayne State. You'll suffer concussion less than 0.26% of the time. It's an incredible invention. If your kids are playing football, baseball, basketball, I don't care, boys, girls, whatever, get the NeuroGuard. Protect yourself. Keep your head in the game. NeuroGuardPlus.com. You'll save 10% using the promo code Gruber, but more importantly, you'll save your head. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Promo code Gruber. Keep your head in the game.
Somewhere.
All right, you know, another tax. We're not big tax fans here. You know, yeah, there are taxes that need to be paid. Obviously, you want police, you want fire, you want all those things, you want those protections. But, you know, I pick up and I'm stunned at the taxes I see being proposed from different segments of our government. local, state, and federal. The next one, a Senate delivery tax. What does that mean? Well, Drew Beardsley here. He's the VP of Government Affairs at the Michigan Retailers Association. He's with me here today. Drew, nice to see you here on the program. Thank you for being here.
Great to be with you.
All right, so you've been joined in this by Hospitality Small Business, Don't Tax Michigan Delivery Coalition. What is this? It's calling it a regressive delivery tax that will hurt people with disabilities, seniors, and more. Do explain, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So one constant in Michigan politics is conversations about road funding. One of the beautiful things about our state, we get to experience all 4 seasons to the full. But as you well know, our freeze-thaw cycles really wreak havoc on our roads.
Sure do.
And so we're constantly having conversations about how to adequately fund those. This year's no different. And one idea that's been thrown around is this delivery tax. And so what that would be essentially is a 50-cent fee added to any deliveries to a customer's home. So think pizza delivery, DoorDash, Uber Eats, the grocery services like that, Amazon deliveries. And so as retailers, we know that's going to hurt small businesses and their employees. And we know also that it's going to hurt families that rely on delivery services for a lot of those basic needs. And so fully with you, there are responsible taxes and irresponsible taxes. I don't think this one's the solution that Lansing's looking for.
So a 50-cent flat fee, no matter what's delivered, you know, you get your groceries delivered, you get one pizza delivered, whatever. And you know that the big companies, UPS, FedEx, whoever, they'll just bake that in and your price will go up. But for a small pizza shop in some small town in Michigan, all of a sudden the pizza's got to go up $1. You know, they don't like that. They got to pass that on, right? So you're right. And for people that can't get out, seniors like you mentioned, or people that are disabled, man, they're going to get that price increase. And it might not seem much at 50 cents, but a lot of people, me included, you get 3, 4, 5 deliveries a day some days. You know, something's coming from this direction, that direction. I mean, it's ubiquitous in my driveway. It's a delivery truck. You're spending $2, $3, $4, $5 a day on deliveries, and you're a person on a fixed income. Not good, right?
No, not at all. I mean, you think about an example of a $7 sandwich. That's going to generate a 42-cent state sales tax on it. If you add another 50 cents on that, you're more than doubling the tax on that sandwich.
Yeah. Now the sandwich is $8 or more, because there might already be a delivery fee on it. So, you know, a $7 sandwich becomes a $10 sandwich for somebody who can't leave home. What are we going to do about it, Drew? What's the plan here?
Yeah, so this is something that has been thrown around by both parties. It's not necessarily a Republican idea or a Democratic idea, but it's not a good idea. And so, you know, Lansing's got to figure out a road funding solution that can take into account a major factor, which is as we sort of transition gradually to electric vehicles, that's going to have a dip in the fuel tax, which is the major tax that funds road funding. And so we got to find something that's going to make up that gap, that isn't going to punish small businesses and isn't going to make it harder for people that rely on those delivery services. Because like you said, it's the seniors, it's people with disabilities, it's those vulnerable populations that, you know, maybe getting takeout is a luxury for me, but for some folks, they rely on that.
It's not just that. Let's go back to that, you know, that standalone small pizza operation in some small town in Michigan somewhere. Now they've got to keep track of that, just like they have to keep track of the local tax, the state tax, the sales tax, whatever it is, because some of these towns might have some sort of additional fees because they love fees and taxes. Now this company has to keep track of 50 cents on each pizza, or 50 cents on each sandwich, or 50 cents every time one of their drivers goes out the door. I mean, are they gonna actually have a clicker so your driver left 21 times a day? 500 times a month? How is the business going to keep track of that? Okay, and let's say there are 1,000 deliveries a month. Well, that's $500 that this company has to then pay to the government for roads that are never going to be fixed. Drew, I mean, I keep hearing the fix the damn roads. I leave my driveway, hit the main road here, it'll knock my fillings out. That's how bad. The main road, the secondary road where I am, is so bad, it'll knock your fillings out. And I'm not kidding you. It'll bust a bike wheel. And this is what I'm paying for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the business compliance concerns are real. I mean, that's a lot of additional hoops that a business has to jump through. That was pointed out in the 2 states that have done this, Colorado and Minnesota. and you look, I think it's very telling. Both of those states have bills moving that would repeal their state delivery tax. So I think this is clearly something that the signals are saying, look, this is a bad idea. And I think here in Michigan, we need to pump the brakes on it too.
Well, there's no question we've never seen a bad idea in Michigan that didn't get embraced. Like ranked choice voting, rejected by every state that's ever been used, and they're trying to push it here. Taxes on deliveries. Taxes on deliveries. For a bigger company like UPS or FedEx, okay, they can probably just figure it into their little computer. Some AI robot will take care of it. But for the rest of us, it's not right. So, I mean, do people call their members of the House, the Senate? Where is it, by the way? Where is this bill in the scheme of things?
Well, no bill's been introduced yet, thankfully, but this is something that's been talked about as the conversations keep going back and forth about road funding. This has been part of that conversation. We would like to emphasize that this is not going to solve the problem, so Senate Democrats, Senate or House Republicans, really driving the conversation on the budget. I think the message needs to be to both of them. This is not the way to go.
This is not it. All right. Meanwhile, just real quickly, Drew. How are Michigan retailers doing? Overall, the economy seems okay. A lot of conversations about tariffs and different things. To me, things seem like it's okay.
I would say cautious optimism is right. Retailers are struggling a little bit with the uncertainty around tariffs. I think there's smart and not smart ways to roll something like that out. And they want consistency. They want certainty. But certainly, certain indications seem to be improving. Retailers are, I would say, moderately optimistic about the near-term future.
All right, Drew. Thank you for being here. You come back anytime. I'm always optimistic. I'm an American, for God's sake. You come back anytime you want. Drew Beardsley, VP, Government Affairs, Michigan Retailers Association. Tell Tuggle I said hi. Thank you for that.
Thanks so much.
All right. Yeah, Tuggle, he said, Gruber called my name. You'll owe me one on that, Tommy. Michigan retailers. Anyhow, look, stop taxing everything. How about get your affairs in order? Again, as we've talked about on this program, Michigan has a budget that's $27 billion bigger than Pennsylvania. Explain how that works. And Pennsylvania's roads are far better than ours, and their services are every bit as good, and they spend $27 billion less. $27 billion that we could save in taxes, you and I. Yeah, if I sound bitter, it's only because I am. Let's see. You want to clear up your head, make sure everything's good. Exodus, I take it every day. Excuse me. Exodus Strong makes me bigger and smarter and better than ever. Exodus Strong. If you're tired of being in pain every day, it's a great holistic supplement combining 2,000 years of ancient wisdom and modern science. It's something you want to try every day, designed to soothe joint muscle discomfort and reduce, this is it, reduce inflammation. There's a QR code on your screen right here. Right here. Let me see. Right here. There it is. Click that. TryExodusNow.com. TryExodusNow.com, and you can find out more, or you can use that QR code. All right? Either way, try this. It's going to get, your brain fog's going to go away. Try it, you'll be a believer. TryExodusNow.com. All right, back at it now. I'm sorry, guys, on the Ivy Watch. I'm really sorry. She got behind. She was talking to Delta Airlines, working out a little issue. Delta's been great, by the way. I'm giving Delta a free shout out here again. Delta has been spectacular lately in customer service, and I appreciate that. The other airlines that I deal with, not so much. I am glad that Delta is the home team here for Team Gruber. We do appreciate it. For the Gruber Nation, it's Delta Airlines. And no, they're not a sponsor. But after that, they probably should be. But they do a great job. All right, so the Epstein victims, if you didn't hear this, 34,000 documents came out yesterday, roughly. All sorts of things, including that missing 1 minute of the jail. Nothing happened, but there it was. They thought it was missing. It's not really missing. But then some of the victims came out and said that they're going to name names, that they're going to compile this and name names themselves of abusers. Listen.
And for some reason, I can feel their spirit, especially Virginia's today. She would be so proud and she would be so beside herself to see this one moment we have all came together to unite. And for our government and for the politicians who have taken our trauma and have weaponized it against us, making it unbearable, making it unlivable, making it hard to move on in a life that we wish to live in happiness and joy and peace and injustice that can only come from within at this point. And we have gotten to this point. Shame on you. Shame on you for using our trauma to weaponize this moment. We are not going to be fooled by your trickery. We are not going to be fooled by the lies, by the conspiracy theories. We are the keys to this situation. We have the truth. And the FBI knows the truth. The government knows the truth. You may pull the wool over the sheep's eyes, but we are the keys. We know who was involved. We know the game. We know the players. And we are sitting here for 20 years waiting for you to get up and do something. Well, guess what? Your time is up, and now we're doing it.
All right, well, we'll see. Here's the thing. Why didn't they name names there? And look, I understand, and I cannot even begin to believe the kind of trauma that they've gone through, all right? But you need to be very careful there. If you name names, you better have it just nailed. Nailed. Because if you don't, regardless of the pain you've been through, the abuse you've been through, the things that were done to you in the name of God only knows what, you'll put yourself in harm's way for a civil lawsuit. So please, if you name names, be very careful. It's my counsel. Be very careful because the civil lawsuits could be vicious. If you can't prove what you're claiming, man, it'll be a dangerous place, and it'll compound the injury that you've been through. All right, so Ivy Watch. I know the guys on YouTube and the folks on YouTube, they're like, where's Ivy? So here's the thing. I put together Ivy Watch for you today. She's not here in the room, but there she is, surfing. She's great on a surfboard. She's great in water sports. She does a thing called wake skating, which is just nothing more. She has these shoes on. You have to see it. Everybody in Michigan is like, what is that? Skating. It's just a board. She has shoes on. She's not attached to the board. It's like a little skateboard, no wheels, of course. Just a board, and she spins around on it and goes out fast and does tricks and so forth. This is a surfboard, of course. Wake surfing. She does that. Also in the fall, she's really good at fishing. That's like, and look at that. That's Ivy's happy place. You see. So for those of you on video, man, you're getting the full Monty here. Here she is fishing. Fly fishing gear makes her very happy. In fact, we just got to, and that's what she would look like if she was on the air with me, of course. So therefore, Ivy Watch. I got to go to YouTube and see what these guys said. Anthony, could you monitor the YouTube folks because they do Ivy Watch every day, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody. Be in trouble here.
They want Ivy Watch T-shirts.
We can do that. Would you use one of those pictures, like the one of her with the microphone? You know, just Ivy Watch. Yeah, Team Ivy Watch. Anyhow, there you go, folks. I mean, I am here to serve. All right, I'm here to serve, and when Ivy can't be here, I do my best. All right, so you know who Conor McGregor is, right? Anthony?
Yeah, pretty yeah.
Pretty well known.
Yeah.
Wins some, lost a couple notable fights, but I don't want to get hit by him. Is that fair to say? He's a professional fighter, MMA guy. Is that what you would call him?
Yeah, one of the biggest, best in the world.
Yeah, right. Irish guy, right? Well, he says it's time to make Ireland great again. Time for real change. He is sick and tired of the illegals and the flood of immigrants into Ireland. It's been said that within about 5 or 10 years, the Irish could be the minorities in Ireland to all these people they shipped in. Well, he's running for president. What do you think of that? Conor McGregor for president. That's what he's in. He says, if you want to see my name on the ballot for the presidency, I urge you to contact your local county councilors today and ask them to nominate me. Our councilors are the backbone of our communities. They work harder and deliver more for the people than those who continue to fail this country time and again. If you're a counselor who feels your voice is ignored, your hands tied, your community overlooked, then I ask you to stand with me. Nominate me. I will give you the platform and power to be truly heard. If you want to vote for McGregor, it starts now. Call your local counselor, and demand change. So there you have it. Conor McGregor, president of Ireland. That'd be something. Kind of a polarizing figure, but good Lord, we need polarizing figures, don't we? We need people to stand up and be heard and say, look, here we are in Ireland. I'd like to go to Ireland, but I don't want to go to Ireland to see a bunch of people from other countries. I want to go to Ireland to see Irish people and go to an Irish pub and, eat fish and chips. That's what you go to Ireland for, right? Fish and chips. You don't go there to see people from some other country that don't care about the place. Anyhow, God bless America. Thank you for being here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have final thoughts right after this. All right, you guys are right. You're right. We need Gruber merch. We've been talking about it for a while. We got some coffee cups made, but it's not exactly what we want. Anthony has some ideas for shirts like, who do you want in your foxhole? Or, foxhole or freedom, or whatever we say here on the program a lot. And, the relentless pursuit of truth. That's what we do here. And maybe some Ivy Watch shirts, too. So, what do you mean? What do I mean, Anthony? Oh, Ivy's going, what do you mean? Yeah, we put up pictures of Ivy. She's like, we put you up. Anyhow, so here's what I want you guys to do. Go to stevegruber.com and send me ideas. What do you want for merch? You want hats, shirts, cups, spandex? Anthony wants spandex, don't you?
Yeah, spandex, please.
Spanx.
A Speedo.
Gruber Spanx. The Gruber Spanx line.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Yeah. Anyhow. All right. So here's programming note. I apologize in advance. I will not be here tomorrow. I will not be. I have something that's been on the books for months and months I have to take care of tomorrow. Not a health-related thing, thankfully. Health is pretty good, except for that thing a week ago. I'm pretty good, pretty happy.
What are you leaving us to go do, Steve?
I'm going to go see the Eagles sing. I'm going to an Eagles concert, boys and girls, and a Bruno Mars concert, very different. But I'm going to go see the Eagles sing. And Anthony will be here as my armed guard, so don't mess around. Anthony will be here as my armed guard. The security on this place is ridiculous.
I did not get invited to see the Eagles.
I'm sorry about that. You did go to Vegas once this year, just not twice.
I did go to Vegas.
Yeah, once. And did I go clubbing with you?
I did take Steve to the clubs.
Yeah. And I held my own, didn't I?
Even Steve was dancing in the clubs in Vegas.
Yeah, I was like 25 years older than the nearest person, but that's cool. I showed those kids how it was done. I'll do it again. God bless America. God bless you, Anthony. It was fun. Of course, the clubs don't open till like midnight, like 2 hours past my bedtime. Anyhow, fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And tell yourself, go through the list. Who do you want in your foxhole? We'll talk soon.